Julie. I would like to introduce you today to my dear friend. She is the founder of Street Smart Diva.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I've known Julie for so many years, and basically she moved to the area that we live, and she was in real estate. And it was fascinating for me to learn about, all the kinds of businesses that she'd been doing. And then basically she started from scratch again here in the Okanagan. And now she's of course very successful again. And I wanted to bring her on this podcast this week because I believe that there are aspects in starting a business, doing a business, and the spiritual aspects that is involved in that. And so today we're going to hear a little bit about how she started, especially that particular business that she's doing right now. And I'm just such a fan and admirer of what she's done and how far she's taken this business. So I wanted to share it with you today. So here she is, Julie.
Well, thanks for having me, Deb. This is so much fun. I really feel just honored to be here. So thank you so much. And I'll just start at the very beginning. Because I actually started twice, which, by the way, many of you, or one or two, who knows, might be starting over, and I'm just telling you that I had to do both. So back in 2001, my husband went to a real estate seminar. My husband Jeff, and he was working, owned a business at the time, and it just took all of his time. But he went to this real estate seminar, and he called me on the way home, and he said, we need to invest in real estate. And I had been raised by a real estate investor, so I had a bit of an advantage.
Okay.
It really wasn't all that foreign to me. I was 6 months pregnant at the time, and I thought, okay, we'll buy some houses. And I was also working as a physio at the time, and had a good career, and had gone to school forever and ever, just like we're all taught to do.
Yes.
Go to school, get good grades.
Because that's your best way out.
Yep. Get a good job. And work until you're 65 and then retire. Yeah, that was the path I was on. And so we went on to. My husband didn't have any time because he worked 80 hours a week
in their family business.
In the family business, that was what was expected, and he was just used to that. So I went out and I found the deals, and I bought 3 deals before I had my baby. And I thought, I'm going back to work, it's fine, we got 3 houses, this is great. As soon as she's born, I'll take some maternity leave, but probably not the whole thing. And we'll, get back to normal, right? And so, you talk about spirituality, there's nothing more spiritual than having a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was the most profound experience in my life. And I took one look at her when she was born, and I knew I needed to do more real estate
to be able to be at home, be a stay-at-home mom.
Exactly. And I just fell instantly in love with her, like every parent does.
It's Cassie, right?
It's Cassie, yeah. And she's 20 years old now, and I have the best relationship with her because I'll just layer this in. I did not have a great relationship with my mother. And I bet I'm sure a lot of people can understand that too. I wanted to make sure and have as best relationship with her as I possibly could. And I knew that time with her would help that. And so we just went on, I took the full maternity leave that Canada so generously offers. We're very fortunate that way. Went on, bought 12 more houses with her.
Oh, wow.
Got pregnant, had another baby. Kept buying houses, had another baby. And then we went from, we had about 36 houses. We started buying apartment buildings and then flipping them, which means we'd buy them and then we'd sell them off in pieces, and we'd make just insane amounts of money, like anywhere from $300,000 to like $700,000 per deal. Really crazy. And of course, had another baby. And then that's what I did.
Yeah.
Babies and buy real estate.
Yeah.
The recession started in 2007. So we started in 2001 in Alberta, in Canada, and just rocked and rolled, and the economy went crazy, and all property values went up, and we just thought it would never end. And so we bought 5 apartment buildings going into the recession, and ended up going from millions, multi-millionaires, to over the course of 4 years losing everything, losing absolutely everything, and I had another baby. And so 5 kids, very young, with my financial world just absolutely crashing.
In turmoil.
Absolutely crashing around me. And so it was just, it was hugely traumatic. Now,
I can just imagine,
that said, we should have been out of business in 6 months. We fought for 4 years. A battle that we finally made the very, very difficult decision to surrender, we chose to enter bankruptcy protection because it just...
That was the only way out.
Absolutely. Well, it maybe wasn't the only way out, but I had tried plan A to plan Z point 2, 3, 4. I felt like I'd tried so much, and I was drinking very heavily. I was definitely, I would say, in depression, and I felt like I was very near it.
Did you feel like you were a failure because the business failed?
I felt that I felt so bad. I felt like I caused the recession.
Which is not true.
No. Yeah. But it was literally that heavy on me. And I felt guilty as a mother. How could I put my children at risk like this? I felt guilty about my husband because all of this had put his family business that was there for 100 years at risk. Just like so much guilt. An insane amount of guilt. And yes, the feeling of failure, and trying to find a solution and not being able to solve it. So I talk about that 4-year period because, again, we should have been out of business in 6 months. We found a way to stay alive as a company in 4 years through that 4-year battle. But we lost. And that's where I became street smart. And that is why it's called the Street Smart Diva.
That's amazing because, when I'm listening to your story, it resonates with me a little bit because whenever we are successful in something, and as we know, there are ups in life and there are downs in life. The thing that's very peculiar about us humans is that we attach our self-worth to our success. And it's like you cannot, because success to everybody means something different. So in your case, it meant like your real estate business is good, but there are all these outside factors that would, can cause like the market to drop, whatever. And if your self-worth is then now put into something like that, then it's obvious that you're going to go into that depression and start drinking. And so, so for anybody listening out there, the most important thing is to understand when you start a business and it fails, it doesn't mean you're a failure. And look at Julie, for example. See, all the experience you had that you learned in all those years then put you in that place for you to start Street Smart. Isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because you couldn't have been street smart without those experiences, isn't it? Yeah, excellent. So bringing in the spiritual aspect of life, spirituality is involved in the failures and in the successes. The most important thing is just to remember that our self-worth cannot be attached to the success of things outside of ourselves.
It's totally true. And at the same time, if you go through challenges, and even if you end up failing, you've probably learned some things which actually makes you more valuable in a way.
Can you repeat that, please? Just say that again, because it's so valuable to hear this.
Well, if you go through challenging times and you figure out, like we did, we figured out a way to stay alive because we were like, there's no way we can fail. There's no way we can fail. We found so many ways to stay alive as a company, it made us more valuable because of our failure. It made us stronger. I'll give you an example. We're just getting out of COVID, whatever.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. Tough 2 years for everybody.
Tough 2 years for a lot of people. COVID was nothing for us.
Oh, wow.
We were just like, okay, this is easier than what we've been through, for sure, you know?
Right.
And so it gives you this, challenge gives you strength, you know? And if you're strong, then you are more valuable in it. And, you know, you're not attached to, like, your value is not attached to what's in your bank account. And at the same time, if you go through challenges, then you're going to find different ways to prosper, to live well. And, you know, how do you put a dollar sign on that?
I know, but would you say that, because I know Julie personally, and would you say that part of you finding that inner strength was going within, making that, like with your yoga journey, your meditation? Like, I think it's important for listeners to also understand that like when you take care of yourself, when you take care of your inner self, then whatever is happening on the outside, you can go through it, and you can also even come out stronger. Just because I know Julie personally, so I was like, don't forget that was a big aspect of success as well, isn't it?
Well, and persevering is physical health, and like the yoga journey, which is mental health and spiritual health, because it's all things in one. Yoga, in the yoga that we practice.
Yeah, that's right.
Which thank God I had my yoga.
It saves our lives,
because it is so hard. The kind of yoga that we practice.
We know that. Yeah,
it is so challenging that many times I would leave a class thinking, well, I survived that,
but I can't do another one.
Well, no. I feel like I survived that. I think I can handle whatever I got to deal with today or tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah.
Because it just
gives you the strength for that moment.
Again, it gives you strength, and you have to have this balance. Like, if your finances aren't healthy, it's going to probably affect you physically.
Correct.
If you're physically not healthy, it could affect your mental well-being. If your mental well-being,
it's all connected.
It's all,
and I think one of the main reasons I also invited Julie today is because I often find that people don't understand that money is part of your spiritual health and wellness. Because, you know, if you come from different backgrounds, some backgrounds is like, money's evil or money's bad, but it really isn't. And it's all connected, you know, and you have to find a way to understand what your beliefs are about it.
And that's very challenging depending on your upbringing, like you said, and depending on what you've been through. Like, we went through bankruptcy. We had 36 properties foreclosed on us, including the house that I had my first 4 kids in, and the house that I had my last child in. Like, we lost our homes. And it was absolutely, like,
devastating,
especially as a woman, because you're a mama bear and you got to know where your cave is and everything like that.
And you're going to provide for your children that safety. It's very important for us to provide safety for our children.
Yes, we are still cave women in a lot of ways, cavemen and women in a lot of ways. Yeah. And so it took me a long time to see the experience that I went through as a blessing. It took me a long time.
Coming back to now, you've got Street Smart Diva, which I completely, love. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you actually do, because there might be some listeners who are thinking, oh, I can't afford to buy a property, or I have no money. And I know from all the years of just following Julie that she's helped a lot of people who perhaps have had bad debt and they think they can't buy something. So, I love that there were so many solutions in what you offer to people. So can you share a little bit of that to our listeners?
Sure. So it's very interesting. We started to, I wanted to start to share my lessons with people.
Wow.
So I actually had created this other website and some videos and things like that on some of the lessons that I had learned in what had happened so far. And then I ended up actually getting a job with a company that had a outlet or whatever, what would you call it, an office in Kelowna, British Columbia. And so my husband was having a bad day one day. I went out to Kelowna to visit from Edmonton, and he said, how is it when I landed? And I said, well, it's amazing, it feels like home. And he said, can we move there? I said, yeah, we can, but be careful what you ask for, because
it can happen.
It can happen. Yes. I'll make it happen. I'm one of those competitive people. I was
the sports person.
So I went. So we came out to visit. It was actually literally, we're talking 10 years ago. Right now.
Yeah,
we came out to
think
visit.
I remember that because I think I met you and Jeff when you
met
first
right
moved
after.
here.
Yes, exactly. We met almost 10 years ago. Yeah. So we came out. We found a house in foreclosure, put an offer on it. And we had no business buying it, no business putting an offer on it, no way to buy it. And then all of this stuff that I had learned, through the challenges, I said, well, maybe somebody could buy it for us. And that's exactly what happened. We did a rent to own. So we moved out to Kelowna, and a friend of mine bought the house for us, and we rent to owned it back from him for an agreed amount. And so this investor did well. My friend, his money grew like crazy. We got into a house, and we knew we never would have to move. And that was important to me after going through as much trauma as I did. I had to know where my cave was. I had to know that my cubs were safe, my babies. And so since I was able to do that, I started just talking more and more to people about how, well, I went through bankruptcy, and I don't own my home yet, but nobody can take it away from me as long as I do what I'm supposed to do. And so here I am, my husband and I are fresh out of bankruptcy, moving into a home that we're going to eventually own. And I know that there are a lot of people who just think home ownership is impossible, and that's just not the case. And so a lot of people, so I kept telling my story just about how we did this, and then all these people started coming forward and needing help with a solution to their real estate challenges. And one girl had a condo here in Kelowna, another couple had a house back in St. Albert in Edmonton. Another couple had a townhouse also here in Kelowna. And these people just kept coming out of the woodwork and saying, we need to sell, we don't know what to do. And so what I would do is I'd usually just buy the house. And then a couple called me from Saskatchewan. And I didn't know any people in Saskatchewan. So I said, well, normally I would just buy your house. I would just take it off your hands for you. And I'd cover all your expenses, and you could just move on your merry way. And I said, but I can't do that. I don't know anybody in your area. You always have to have, it's important. You need a helper if you don't live there.
Exactly.
So I said, listen, how about I just teach you what to do?
Oh, wow.
And that's
how the whole thing
came up.
Okay. And so now you still teach people through Street Smart Diva.
That's right.
And then
so I'll coach people with whatever they have going on.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be that they're trying to sell a house. It could be that they're trying to buy a house and they don't know how. So I can help since I've been through it myself. I can walk them through the steps of how to find something, how to talk to a motivated seller, how to put in an offer, or how to buy a house maybe with somebody else that, like the guy who bought my house, wants to grow their money in real estate, but they don't necessarily want to be a landlord, because that's what a lot of people get scared off by. And they get scared off by not knowing what's going to happen to value. And real estate it's all numbers, really. And numbers are spiritual.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
it's
Well, I
it's a
think
flow.
people's
It's
homes
money
are
in, it's money
spiritual.
out. Oh,
I
absolutely.
I think people's home is spiritual because if you, like you said, if you don't have that safe cave, you know, for yourself and your children, your family, you can't really be in peace with yourself. So having a home that, you know, where you can feel that safety is important. And you know what I love a lot about what Julie does is like a lot of people, because things happen, they don't have money, they have bad debt or whatever's going on, it doesn't mean that you cannot have a home. You know, I think that's the most important thing to take away from this, is really to understand if you're struggling with that, reach out. Because there's always a solution, you know.
Always.
There's always somebody who's been through that. Look at like yourself, you've been through that, and through going through that, you are now able to help and serve a lot of other humans. So sometimes in life, you know, we're going through something that's tough, and in the moment we don't understand why, and there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering that happens. But like if you always remember to start from scratch with yourself, when you go inside and you say, okay, why did this happen to me? What is it? What am I supposed to do with this, right? And then you can use it to serve others. And that's what I admire a lot about what Julie has done. It's like literally you picked yourself up from the bootstraps and you said, I'm going to help people.
Yeah.
And you have, and I've watched you. And, you know, it's amazing for me. And so I know that there are a lot of people out there that when it comes to finances, we feel ashamed and we feel like a failure, but you are not a failure. Like these things happen to everybody, and your self-worth is not related to any of the things that happen to you. You are worthy just because you are. And if you reach out to the right people, you know, the right solution is going to come to you. But the most important thing always to remember is to start with the self. That self-love has to be cultivated. And how do we cultivate that? I always say to people, one of the most important things in your life you're going to do, and Julie can probably say that about herself too, is to make a commitment to yourself and have a routine. Because you can't just do it one day and then say, like, tomorrow I'm not going to do it. You know, you need determination.
Oh my gosh.
And if you have that in your spiritual life, you're going to have it in your other areas of your life. And I honestly believe, like, just me sitting here looking out at what Julie has achieved, to me it was pure determination, but she showed it in her spiritual life as well as in her business life. And I think that's why you are successful, because you have that both. And you know, like you said, like you felt guilty, you felt ashamed, you had all those feelings, but you still said, okay, I gotta pick myself up.
Yeah.
And how can I make myself better? And then how can I serve others? And I think I see a lot of joy comes from your work because you're serving others who were once in that hopeless situation that you were. And that's the most, to me, I think anyway, like it's so worthwhile.
Absolutely. And for those of you, if anybody is like in the middle of a challenge, I remember being in the middle of it and having this conversation with our lawyer, who was, you know, like, I'll never forget this guy. He's wearing a white shirt. He was really muscly because he took good care of himself, leaning up against his gorgeous mahogany desk. And I am just at the lowest of the low of the low. And he looked at us and he said, listen, this is going to end. And you're going to wake up and it's going to feel like a bad dream. It will end. So, and then, you know, he didn't say you'll find the blessing in this, because that's not the way. It's really important to, you know, if you're going through something, like especially with a partner, reach out to Deb. She's great to just set. She knows what she's talking about. You've set with so many people, and it's always the same thing over and over. It's not about. Jeff will come home and he'll say, "It wasn't about me." Or sorry, it wasn't about you, Julie.
It was about me.
Just like last time I met Deb. And it's fun, we still need those reminders, and it's okay because we're human beings.
Exactly. And you know, and that's the most important thing, is that you recognize that too, because I can say that to someone, but it really depends on where that information lands. You know, and that's why I said, when you do your own work, then truth will always find its way. And we know when we're going through this day-to-day stuff and trying to blame other people, it doesn't work. It's not true. So when the information lands, the truth lands, and you recognize it. But we cannot recognize that if we don't do the work. So it's very important that we always continue to do our own inner work, and then you're going to see all relationships in your life is perfect for you. But we don't sometimes appreciate the lessons because we don't want to look at ourselves, right? And that's the most important thing, is that people can just look at themselves and say, do you know what? I think that has something to do with me.
Yes.
But we can't see that. And so, like you said, when you understand that you have to take some kind of accountability for yourself, then the information will land. But if you can say the information to people, but if it doesn't land in a good place, it cannot take
root.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like if you're trying to grow something and you just put the seeds but you're not tilling the ground and you're not working with the ground. So you're the ground. You have to keep working with the ground so that when the seeds come, they can take root, right? So the compliment is yours. It goes back to you. So it's just, the information cannot land where it won't be able to grow.
Exactly. And it's just nice to
and for me, it's wonderful to see you
guys.
I know.
Like,
and especially, like I said, I'm so it's just wonderful to see how you've built this business, because it was from scratch, and because I know I was there, and to have been able to help and serve so many people, and to have come to your self-worth without the achievement of that, because the achievement came after you found the self-worth in yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's really important. That's why I wanted to invite you today, because I wanted to inspire others, and also really to reach out and say to people, if you have any issues and you find yourself in a space where you don't know what to do, please call Julie, because she's smart and she's competitive, so she'll always get you the best deal. I wouldn't want to be on the other team of her in any sporting activity, because she's so competitive. But Julie, I just want to thank you so much. It's so lovely to see you, and I'm so happy for your success, not just in your business, but in your life, because you surely deserve it. And we'll put all the information for Julie, how you can reach her, in the link below. And we will see you guys all next week. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks for having me, guys.